Paul said his mission was to Israel, not to the world. In Acts 26, 6-7, Paul said he stands on trial for the hope of the promise, made by God to our fathers, the promise to which our 12 tribes hope to attain. That's his entire mission. Every time Paul defines his gospel, it's Israel's promises fulfilled, not a new universal plan. Romans 11:26-27, and so all Israel will be saved. This is my covenant with them. Romans 15:8. Christ has become a servant to the circumcision to confirm the promises made to the fathers. Nothing about humanity or the entire planet. It's about covenantal Israel. Paul defined Gentiles covenantally. Paul's Gentiles, ethne, Hellenes, were the dispersed Israelites and proselytes among the nations, not pagan foreigners. Romans 9:24-26. Even us whom he called, not from Jews only, but also from the Gentiles, as he says in Hosea, I will call those who were not my people, my people. Hosea's prophecy was about the 10 northern tribes of Israel, not global humanity. In Acts 26:17-18, Paul's mission was to the people and the Gentiles to open their eyes. In context, the people equal to Judah, the Gentiles equal to Israel's dispersed brethren. In Acts 13:46-48, Paul quotes Isaiah 49 about being a light. To the nations, a text about restoring Israel's tribes, not converting pagans. Thus Paul's Jews and Gentiles equal to Judah and dispersed Israel, two covenantal halves of the same people. Paul's Adam and law arguments are covenantal, not cosmic. Romans 5-8 shows Paul interpreting sin, death, and resurrection as covenantal categories. Romans 5:12-14, sin entered the world equal to Israel's covenant world under law. Romans 6:14, you are not under law, but under grace, equal to transition from old to new covenant. In 1 Cor 15:56, Paul said the power of sin is the law. Sin's dominion existed where Torah reigned, that is, within Israel, not the Gentile world. Once the law ended in AD 70, so did the covenantal framework of sin, death, and redemption. Paul limited salvation to those under the law. Paul explicitly said in Romans 4:15, where there is no law, there is no transgression. If Gentiles outside Israel never had the law, they never had transgression. Therefore, they never needed salvation. That means Paul's gospel lay applied to those under the law, Israel and those grafted into Israel by covenant. Paul redefined Israel by faith, not by adding nations. In Romans 9:6-8, he said, not all who are descended from Israel are Israel. The children of the promise are counted as the seed. He doesn't say non-Israelites became Israel. He says true Israel is defined by faith, not flesh. That's covenantal redefinition, not universal expansion. Paul viewed the gospel's reach as complete within his lifetime. Paul repeatedly says the gospel had already been preached to all nations and every creature under heaven. Romans 10:18, Colossians 1:6 and 23. This can't mean global evangelism. It means the full covenant diaspora had been reached. That aligns perfectly with Jesus' prediction in Matthew 24:14. The gospel would be preached in all the world that is throughout the Roman world of Israel's dispersion before the end AD 70. Paul's eschatology culminates in AD 70. Every Pauline epistle anticipates the imminent consummation. The time is short. 1 Corinthians 7:29. We who are alive and remain. 1 Thessalonians 4:15. He will soon crush Satan under your feet. Romans 16:20. That consummation was the end of the Old Covenant age, not the end of the physical world. Paul's entire theology is anchored to that transition, the resurrection. judgment and kingdom realized for Israel within that generation. In summary, Paul was I.O. because 1. His mission was to Israel's tribes and proselytes, not humanity. 2. His terminology, Gentiles, world, Adam, creation, is covenantal, not universal. 3. His law and sin logic confines transgression to those under the covenant. 4. His eschatology culminated in Israel's AD 70 judgment, fulfilling all things written. In short, Paul didn't invent Christianity, he explained the completion of Israel's story. And when that story ended, so did the only salvation, sin, and resurrection the Bible ever spoke about. That's why, textually, historically, and covenantally, Paul was unmistakably Israel only.